Get miserable. Get miserable.
My fingers are swollen.
Yeah, you getting hot? Welcome back to Turning Up the Heat, the show where we lock the best and the brightest and the hottest on in their lives and grill them with questions till one of us taps out or passes out. I'm your host, Eric Evie, and I'm excited today for my guest, Dakota Bailey. He's the owner of LTD Property Group, one of the fastest growing real estate companies in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Sought after by honestly everybody to work at. As fun as it can get, but honestly as successful as it can get. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks, bro.
Beautiful, man. I'm so glad you're here. It's getting to get hot in here. It's going to get really fucking toasty.
Yeah, I can feel it in my hair already.
But the beautiful thing is I've done podcasts with you and we've been friends for a long time, so I have a really good idea of the questions you've been asked. And some of the questions I want to ask today, I don't know if you have been. So I want to start off really simple because when people hear success, the first thing they always think about is like background. And you know, from the backgrounds that we've been in our group, the people we met with, a lot of our backgrounds come from a little bit rougher territory. But is there anything specific from your background, like from your childhood, any moments or anything like that, that you made it so clear that you were driven to chase success for abundance? Is there anything that you can think of?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind that was the shift for me was when I decided that I was going to step up as a man and take care of my sisters.
Yes.
And so that was the biggest shift. I'm getting off the bus. I'm walking up with my older sister, walking up to my house. I'm seeing my mom, I'm seeing my aunt. My mom and my dad aren't there. And I'm like, all right, where are they at? I found out my dad almost killed my mom. And my dad's in jail. My mom's in the hospital. And so at that moment, that was when I decided, all right, I'm going to step up as a man, and now I got to be the man of the house. And I don't remember if somebody told me that or if that was an internal thing, but I feel like somebody told me at like 6 years old, like, hey, you're the man of the house now. And that was a moment that just shifted everything for me and really
locked it in.
Yeah, I was just like, all right, I got to be a man now.
Yeah.
And I got to be an adult and like kind of step up, and nobody's going to come save me, and I got to take care of myself. So that was a moment that really shifted my identity when I look back on everything. So
Yeah. It's wild how that happens. One thing me and Tyler were talking about the other day and here on his episode was how when you're raising kids, a lot of times we want to soften things, but when we look back at our own lives, when Tyler had his own examples that were rough, you go, these horrible, horrendous things are the things that might have made me into this amazing person.
Yeah.
And it raises this question that with our employees, with our kids, with our families, should we be softening the load? Should we be hard on them? Do you have any opinions on these sort of things?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with your employees.
Yeah. Well, I've thought about this a lot, and I've actually talked to my sister. I'm like, I feel like employees in business is kind of like having kids, where like it feels like we're learning similar lessons, except for a different lens. Like I'm learning it through teaching adults, she's learning it through teaching kids. But the biggest thing that I've thought about is like, man, I don't want to ever stop somebody from going through the pain or that, but what I want to do is I want to help coach them through it, because that's what I see a lot of parents do is they're like, I just want to avoid my kids having to go through the same thing I went through.
Yes.
Well, what you went through turned you into who you are, so do you really want to avoid that?
Yes.
And so I don't think that I don't want to go through hard things. I want to be coached on the mindset that I can have going through it, because if you try to just stop every bad thing from happening to your child, one, you're never going to succeed, and then two, whenever they do finally get something that's really difficult, now they don't know how to handle it because they never have before.
Yes.
But if they go through it and you coach them how you go through these hard things that they're inevitably going to go through, that's what I believe a good mentor, coach, parent is like explaining you the emotions and saying it's okay and allowing it to happen.
Yeah, even on the parenting side of things, I find so interesting because my dad made me work construction every summer from the time I was 12 years old. I mean, there was no more summer break. Your sixth grade's over. Okay, perfect. Now summers are construction, 60 hours a week, and I hated him. I thought he was such a piece of shit. But then I grew up. Oh yeah, I got paid, but it was very low.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a kid. I wanted to relax. I wanted to do all these things. But what I grew up to realize was how grateful I am that he did that for me. I jokingly say, which I do believe, that if I ever have kids, whether they're spoiled or not, they're going to be working construction. If they're a guy.
Yep.
It's construction the second they hit 12. But I think, like I said, it's hard to find that balance between we have worked so hard and dealt with so much to create these rewards, and then to have to fight the desire to just reward our kids, our employees. I do that a lot in my business. I struggle with over-rewarding and over-giving. And what you do sometimes is you create a concept where it's expected rather than earned. And that's where you got to be really careful.